everyone. My name is Teresa Campbell, and my presentation this morning is entitled, "The Show Must Go On, The Impact on 9/11 on Broadway." So, we recently recognized the 10th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, and that's what really got me interested in this topic way back last semester when I was supposed to be focusing on Greek theater. I was like, oh, I'm really looking forward to this one too, so here we go. There were theater offices destroyed in the World Trade Centers that were destroyed as well, along with all the lives and unforgivable everything from the World Trade Centers. Theater offices, TKTS booths were destroyed as well. The theater community was brought to its knees. The Great White Way was now nicknamed the Grim White Way. Theaters around the country responded like those in New York City, including Jiva Theater Center right here in Rochester. Theaters didn't know what shows they should put on, if they should continue putting on shows, if people would come to see shows. There was just a lot of confusion and uncertainty. The question of the triviality of theater came up with all the loss of life and just the destruction all around. How important was it that all these records of shows from hundreds of years were lost? Or how important was it that shows were being canceled? But it was very important, and this was reaffirmed by Mayor Giuliani's wish. Mayor Giuliani hadn't really been a supporter of the arts up until this time. He was sort of known for that, but I don't know if you can read above the I Heart New York Theater. It says, this is his wish: "To people from all over the country who want to help, I have a great way of helping. Come here and spend money. Go to a restaurant, see a show. The life in the city goes on." And this is from September 14th, 2001. So now beyond Broadway. What 9/11 did was that it magnified trends we already had. Producers opted for lighter fare and avoided the classics, and I'll be talking more about escapist entertainment later. Contemporary culture was reflected on stage. An example of this is The Idiot Box by Michael Eliano. Eliano observed that TV sitcoms set in New York City ignore real-life effects like 9/11. He asked himself what would happen when affectional and professional lives of the 6 primary characters are shattered. A line from the show is, "Reality is for the depressed and those without imagination." When the characters are faced with reality, come face to face with reality, they want to escape from it. They want to go back in the dark. And this is a poster from the recent Harlequins production of The Idiot Box. 9/11 also made it grim for non-for-profits and off-Broadway theater, because off-Broadway theaters and off-Broadway theaters are more downtown than the Midtown Broadway section, and the further you get downtown, the closer you get to ground zero, where no one really wanted to be. And non-for-profits were known for being edgy and provocative to begin with, but now it was just too much for a lot of people. They didn't want to see these groundbreaking or controversial plays anymore. And what 9/11, something that came out of 9/11 was the musical. The musical had been around, but this was a different kind of musical. What happened? I'm sorry. 9/11 ended what we called the British invasion. These were musicals like Cats, Phantom of the Opera, and Les Miserables that had come over from London. These shows, huge success, but there weren't so many British shows anymore. Les Mis, which had been around for a really long time, closed 18 months after 9/11. This really isn't that surprising when you look at the themes of war, revolution reflected on stage. But what was now on stage was the escapist entertainment. There were jukebox musicals like Jersey Boys and the enormous success of Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia didn't win any Tonys, and it was bashed by the critics. The $10 million cost it took to produce was recouped in only 28 weeks, which is a really short amount of time for Broadway shows. There was an advance sale of $30 million, and this was twice as much as the producers, which had huge success as well. A musical which was not so lucky was Assassins. This is Stephen Sondheim's musical, and it follows the stories of presidential assassins throughout history, including John Wilkes Booth. It was sort of jinxed, and there was a lot of bad timing with this musical. The first planned production was in 1991, but then we launched into the first Gulf War. The second time it planned to open was late November of 2001, but then 2 days after the attack, these plans were canceled. It was supposed to open at the Booth Theater, which is sort of ironic, I find. It finally opened in March 2004, but it was still a limited run, even though it won a lot of awards. People were still scared of terrorist attacks, or they really didn't like this kind of idea reflected on stage. And for those of you, just quick trivia, Neil Patrick Harris played Lee Harvey Oswald. That's sort of cool. So I mentioned the phrase grim white way earlier. Now it's called Great White Hope. Something that came out of the 9/11 attacks was that tragedy brings people together. There was a desperation to not only entertain from those on stage, but to be entertained from those in the audience and to escape from reality. There was a cathartic release from the acting on stage, there was a comfort found in theater, and there was a spirit alive on stage. There was many patriotic efforts reflected in the Broadway community. A lot of shows would sing God Bless America after their finale, and a lot of choruses from shows on Broadway came together soon after the attacks in Times Square and sang New York, New York. And who isn't in a good mood when Nathan Lane starts singing? Come on, let's be honest. And there's lots of charitable efforts as well. Some shows or artists took pay cuts to salary, and those pay cuts went towards relief efforts. Rescue workers, police officers, firefighters, and military personnel got reduced rates to tickets in October of 2001. That campaign poster that I showed earlier, the I Love New York Theater, negotiated the over $3 million in donated advertising for this campaign to resurrect the Broadway industry after 9/11. And then conclusion. I was saying what got me interested in this topic was the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. And the question that was asked was, have we come full circle since September 2001? There was a lot of fear that there would be another terrorist attack around that time. Security was amped up. So are we living in a state of fear, or are we living in a state of hope? I'd like to think hope, because as you can see by this picture, the New York, New York chorus was recreated by new shows on Broadway at the time. You can see the disco suits of Mamma Mia still on Broadway. Chicago, Godspell, all these shows came together to sing New York, New York. And there's the George M. statue in the back. And as to the future of theater after the 10th anniversary attacks, a lot of shows have closed in the past few years because of the recession, and the question of triviality comes up still again. How important is theater? It's so important. Just the arts giving that sense of comfort, that sense of relief, because in the end, the show must go on. Thank you.